Samurai Jack is officially done, and it was so much fun watching every single episode. Everybody in my household was engaged in Samurai Jack. Every Saturday night was an event. We would all make sure that at 11 o'clock sharp, we were all sitting in front of the TV anticipating what would happen next. So that was pretty special. Now it's kind of upsetting because now it's over. We're not going to be able to have those same Saturday night events, but how did I feel about Samurai Jack overall? I thought it was pretty damn good. Now before I get to actually talking about how I felt about certain things in the series, this is going to be a spoiler-filled video. So if you haven't finished up the show, I suggest you do that before watching this video. That's just a fair warning. I don't want anybody getting triggered around these parts, you know? So yes, I thought Samurai Jack was pretty damn good. Some episodes are more satisfying than others. Some episodes have their pros and cons, and some episodes just have all pros. Now, I'm not going to go through every single episode and break it down piece by piece, but I will talk about what I liked and disliked about certain things that happened in the Samurai Jack series. The quality and style of the animation was amazing throughout the entire series. It did not let up. They kept it very consistent with the action, intense sequences, and they also maintained the violent, bloody nature of Toonami. It was just incredibly refreshing to actually see them capitalize on that mature Toonami rating. Having the artistic freedom to really explore your vision thoroughly really makes a difference sometimes. Now let's talk about the characters. I really like what they did with Jack. They established him as a man that has a really troubled past who's dealing with post-traumatic effects of certain things. And they also made it to where he's battling with his own conscience. So all these things put together kind of make this man versus man conflict, which I really enjoyed because it adds one of many layers to Jack's character, and really makes you as the audience really want him to succeed and prevail more than anything. Now on to Ashi. What did I think about Ashi? I thought Ashi was a really freaking engaging and interesting character. I was really glad to see the show go in the direction that I wanted it to with Aku's evil daughters, because I knew that if one could be kept alive and go along with Jack, it could set up for a really interesting dynamic between the two characters. And it was a very interesting dynamic between the two characters. I mean, you have Jack, whose entire mission is to go and destroy Aku, and then you have Ashi, who has been indoctrinated to just serve Aku and kill Samurai Jack. So that's just like oil and water. That's just not going to mix well. But it makes it very interesting for the audience to see how it unfolds. You see Ashi slowly but surely become more curious and doubtful of herself as she turns to Samurai Jack for more knowledge and wisdom. And it's really all thanks to this ladybug right here, which is an aspect of the Samurai Jack series that I completely adored. It's probably one of my favorite concepts out of the entire series due to its symbolic nature. I'll talk more about that later, but yeah, Ashi's character was pretty awesome. I would say that the only negative thing that comes of Ashi's character is that it's really easy to predict where her character ends up. You still really feel for her and Jack when tragedy strikes, but it definitely would have been more emotionally meaningful if we couldn't have predicted that go down. But I'll talk more about this when I start talking about the final episode. So, Aku's character was obviously amazing. Usually when I show somebody who is unfamiliar with Samurai Jack, and I show them Aku's character, they really don't know how to feel about it, and they usually don't like it because he's not your usual evil villain character. He doesn't really have those traits that those cliche villain characters have in most movies and TV shows. He's very funny, he's a smartass, so I don't know, I guess I could see how somebody could not really enjoy that kind of villainous character, but for me, I really enjoyed it because it adds an element to Aku's character that's more than just this, you know, run-of-the-mill cliche evil character that wants to destroy everything. Kind of shows that he's this guy who reigns power over every living thing on the planet, and he has this freedom just to be a smartass and to be silly all the time because he really has no competition, besides Samurai Jack, of course, to really impede on his power. So I guess I just found it really interesting and refreshing to see an evil villain character be silly, funny, and entertaining at the same time, while also still maintaining the evil factor to him. Just because he's silly and a smartass really doesn't take away from his evil nature. And this robot assassin guy that plays a magical flute was hilariously awesome. I loved him. We didn't really get much of him, but every single time he was on screen, he was entertaining as hell. He also wielded that cool weapon that makes a high-pitched sound that gradually gets louder and louder and more high-pitched until shit near it blows up. I just thought that was a really intense and creative idea. And also, his voice is done by Tom Kenny. He's done a lot of different voices for different animations, but he's mostly famous for doing the voice for SpongeBob. So yeah, there's a little fun fact for your ass. Now let's talk about the Scotsman.
We found
My jaw was on the floor when it was first revealed that the Scotsman had returned. I felt like I was just reliving my childhood there for a second. It was incredibly nostalgic, not gonna lie. And honestly, I don't really know how to feel about them killing him off and then bringing him back instantly as a ghost. I kind of feel like if you're gonna kill somebody off, just kill them off. Or if you're gonna keep them, just keep them. I feel like they kind of wanted to kill somebody off without having to deal with the consequences of killing somebody off. But nevertheless, I did enjoy still having the Scotsman around, even though he actually wasn't around very much. He was only around for that tiny bit of time in that one episode. And then in the last episode, he came around and he was pretty significant there. But still, we didn't really spend a lot of time with the Scotsman. I kind of wish we had more time with him because his character is just incredibly entertaining and lovable. And giving the Scotsman an entire army filled with his own husky daughters was a really interesting take too. And we actually get to see them in action in the last episode, which is pretty entertaining. So let's go ahead and talk about it. How did I feel about the romance between Jack and Ashi? Well, I didn't think it was that bad. I thought it was actually pretty awesome. I thought it could have been handled a little bit more delicately because what they did was kind of cram a lot of it, pretty much all of it, into just one episode, which made it feel like it was a little bit rushed. But they did already spend quite a bit of time together. It was just really a problem with structural pacing. Some of the structural pacing in the series is kind of awkward. Like for instance, the Scotsman dying and then instantly coming back as a ghost. The episode that's dedicated to just the romance between Jack and Ashi. And then also the very last episode seems slightly rushed as well. I really liked the episode. I thought it was an amazing finale. But it also did seem slightly rushed. They definitely could have expanded that last episode into 2 separate episodes. This would have resulted in a more suspenseful, tension-building conclusion that would have gave the audience a more satisfying climax. But it was still a very entertaining episode, and I'm still very satisfied with it. It was really awesome to see all of the different groups of people come to Jack's rescue when he was in trouble. He's basically befriended everybody and saved people from what was going to be their near death. And if it wasn't for Jack doing all those things, all of these different groups of people would have never taken a stand against Aku, and they all ganged up on him at once. And the moment that Ashi figures out that she possesses all of Aku's powers, and she opens up her own portal of time to go back in time so that way Jack can actually defeat Aku, was really entertaining to watch. And to finally see Jack chop up Aku the way he did, and the way it was shot and the way it was put together was extremely satisfying and entertaining. And most importantly, it was badass. Just to be able to see Jack's sword just slice and penetrate through Aku's head resulted in me having these satisfying chills go down my spine. That was really cool to see. But of course, if you defeat Aku, you won't have Ashi because without Aku, Ashi would have never existed. But the really odd thing about that is that that subject was never brought up a single time in any episode of the series. You would think that Ashi or Jack would have brought that up at some point in the story and they would have had some sort of substantive, meaningful conversation about it. Even after Jack kills Aku, there's many hints afterwards that would say, hey, you know, she's probably not going to be around anymore because that's just, logically, that's how time would work. And I mean, Jack's a smart guy. He's not a dummy. That's why I don't really see how he could have missed that. Because in the ending of this, they set up this marriage ceremony between Ashi and Jack's just super excited and he's so happy as if he has no idea that she's gonna vanish. And then once she finally collapses and admits that, yeah, without the existence of Aku, I don't exist, so therefore I'm not existent. It's set up to be this tragic thing that we did not see coming, even though everybody did kind of see it coming. Again, it's still emotional, it still works, but it just wasn't as hard-hitting as I wanted it to be because we all kind of saw it coming. But I really loved and adored the last moment of the last episode, when the ladybug decides to land on Jack's hand and he lets it go. Because that ladybug is what helped Ashi pique her curiosity and want to discover more about the Earth. When she was a child and she was going through that violent process of indoctrination, a ladybug fell inside the cave and she wanted to play with it and find out more about it. But her evil brainwasher instructor just took the ladybug and squished it. So in one of my favorite moments in the entire series is when Ashi is on the island with Jack and she's trying to approach him and kill him. She sees the ladybug pass her and she sees Jack reach his hand out for it, but he doesn't squish it like the evil instructor did. He just lets it go and lets it roam free. This was a revelational moment for Ashi in which she decides to become more curious and become doubtful of her presuppositions. So the reason why I love this ending moment so much in the last episode is because even after all those terrible things that Jack went through after losing the love of his life, he still remains humble and he doesn't squish the ladybug, he still lets it roam free. It's just a final send-off and portrayal of Jack's goodness, and that's what I really loved about it. Well, those are my thoughts on the Samurai Jack series in a nutshell. I'm pretty sure there's all kinds. I could probably talk my head off about this all day, but in a nutshell, that is what I think about the Samurai Jack series. Was it perfect? No, but was it entertaining and was it awesome and did it give me a lot of enjoyment? Hell yeah, it did. I was really impressed by it. And it was really interesting to see them take a kids show that I grew up with and then make it more mature into this more bloody, violent direction, and also a more substantive direction as well. And it was just really awesome for me to see that. And I'm sure that most people that grew up with Samurai Jack would agree. Alright, thank you so much for checking out my thoughts on Samurai Jack. I'm sure most of you who clicked on this video have already seen the entire series, so let me know in the comment section what you think about the series. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. And don't forget to subscribe to the Misfit Pawn channel to be updated on content related to film and animation.